By the mid-1800s, Switzerland was out of room and out of options. Chronic famine, failed crops, and a population that had tripled in size left thousands of citizens in a state of terminal desperation. To ease the pressure, the Swiss government and private land agents began scouting the American South, looking for a place to offload their surplus population into organized agrarian colonies. Land agents distributed brochures featuring illustrations like this one, promising a temperate paradise that would mirror their homeland, a place where the mountain slopes were already prepared for the vineyards they knew how to tend. The propaganda was relentless. Agents claimed the Appalachian soil was so rich and the climate so perfect that farmers could actually hear the corn growing in the fields at night. These agents weaponized the hope of the starving, selling a geographical fantasy that triggered a mass exodus of families across the Atlantic. This was a 10-week ordeal. Families moved by stagecoach and rail across Europe to reach ports like Le Havre, then spent 41 days in the steerage of steamships like this one, bound for a new life. Once they reached the coast, the trek continued, by train into Georgia, then by wagon and steamboat deep into the isolated plateaus of Kentucky and Tennessee. The reality at the end of the trail was a total shock. Instead of cleared pastures, the immigrants were dropped into a landlocked wilderness of virgin timber where the sun barely reached the forest floor. There were no roads and no houses. They spent their first months in tents, paying exorbitant prices for basic groceries while trying to clear the first few feet of forest before the winter snow arrived. The illusion was gone. The families were left with a single choice: abandon their investment and flee, or wage a manual war against the forest. In Bernstadt, Kentucky, the colony fractured almost immediately. Colonial leaders mismanaged the settlers' capital, and many families realized they had been sold land that was simply too primitive to farm. Kentucky law provided another obstacle. The Swiss had planned to build their economy on wine, but they arrived to find that local temperance crusaders had already made the sale of alcohol illegal in the county. While Bernstadt saw a mass exodus, the settlers at Gruetli, Tennessee chose to dig in. They stayed despite the rugged terrain and the notoriously thin, acidic soil of the Cumberland Plateau. Survival in Gruetli meant abandoning their old-world habits and methodically manipulating the local environment through sheer trial and error. Step 1 was architecture. They abandoned the large stone houses of Switzerland for the native Appalachian log cabin. This 1869 structure, built by the Schild family, shows their adaptation. Steep pitched roofs to shed mountain snow, covered in handmade wooden shingles. Step 2 was soil engineering. The topsoil on the plateau was naturally thin and acidic, a chemical environment that killed the traditional grains and vegetables the Swiss tried to plant. To fix this, they hauled raw limestone from the base of the mountain. They burned the stone in kilns to create lime, spreading it over their fields to sweeten the soil and make it productive. Step 3 was tool adaptation. The lightweight scythes used on smooth alpine slopes were useless against the heavy, tangled brush of the Appalachian hills. Settlers like Christian Marug designed a hybrid tool, taking the high-quality, lightweight Swiss steel blades and mounting them to heavy-duty handles carved from native Appalachian hickory. Step 4 was an economic pivot. With the wine industry blocked, they shifted to high-quality cheesemaking and intricate woodcarving, creating specialized goods that were valuable enough to justify the long haul to town markets. By applying European agrarian science to native mountain resources, the Swiss demonstrated that land previously considered inferior could be made remarkably profitable. Not every family stayed in the woods. Hundreds of immigrants who realized the agrarian dream was a struggle moved toward the urban centers of Knoxville and London. They used their specialized trades to integrate into the city economies, founding furniture stores, transfer companies, and industrial lumber yards that served the entire region. Their physical influence in the region is still standing. Swiss architects and builders won the contracts for the region's major civic structures, including the Knox County Courthouse. The wilderness city of Bern never rose from the forest. Instead, the Swiss presence took root in the brick-and-mortar reality of the modern Appalachian cities they were commissioned to build. Within 2 generations, the children of these immigrants were leading the country. This is U.S. Supreme Court Justice Edward T. Sanford, the son of a Swiss immigrant from the original Knox County colony. Native farmers in the surrounding counties began observing and adopting Swiss methods, from their intensive soil cultivation and dairying to their superior ways of growing grass and hay for livestock. The utopian Little Switzerlands promised in the old brochures eventually faded into the American mainstream, but the families and their bloodlines remain active in local government and business. The Swiss Appalachian experiment was born in a moment of geographical deception, but it was sustained by an ingenuity that left its mark on the American South.
Thanks for watching. Please join us again next time for more history from the mountains. Don't forget to like and subscribe,